Animage Magazine, March 2021. Yashahime, translated by Ayuria. Magazine highlights. In this magazine, it mentions the one who will defeat Kirin Maru and says, the prophecy the Shikon Jewel once told Kirin Maru was, the one who will destroy Kirin Maru will be the one who is neither human nor demon and can impossibly traverse time. He seems to think it refers to Toa, Setsuna, and Moroha, but the difference in strength between the three of them and Kirin Maru is obvious. Presently, it would probably be difficult for the girls to defeat Kirin Maru. There is an interview with the director, Sato Tiruo. The main important things from what we learn from this magazine is Sato Tiruo was in charge of the storyboard for episodes 1, 2, 4, and 6. There is an Inuyasha rule for shot divisions and presentation. He wanted Yoshihime to inherit those rules. Episode 1 for the most part depicted Inuyasha since they so couldn't exactly break away from that rule. Following on to episode 2, if they strayed away from that rule, viewers wouldn't follow so much, so he did as much as the storyboard he could himself. He explains what the Inuyasha rule is, like how Inuyasha releases the Windscar or the Mokomoko, the nickname they call Sesshomuru's fur, which translates to fluff fluff or fluffy. He says there are people who call the fluffy scarf worn during events like the coming of age ceremony Sesshomuru's Mokomoko, and that they call it Mokomoko at the production site too. He also says that there are many people who give Setsuna's Mokomoko the same volume as Sesshomuru's, and that Yoshihiito Hishinuma was always correcting them like, please make hers more subdued than her father's. He says that they use the old method of shot divisions different from the current trend and he wants there to be traces of Inuyasha. He thinks Setsuna doesn't know of her father's Mokomoko. The clothes were probably given to her by her caretaker, Jokin. Toa and Setsuna were named by Rin in episode 15, but they were babies, so they didn't know. Probably while Jokin was in charge of educating them, he told them, you're Toa and you're Setsuna. Inuyasha himself is inside the Black Pearl and Moroha was left in the care of the Wolf Demon tribe, so Inuyasha couldn't give the clothes to Moroha. The Wolf Demon tribe probably got their hands on something similar somewhere. During the creation of Toa, first starting from her being a child that avoids the standard femininity, they came up with all sorts of thoughts like, why not just give her an appearance like Hiyari Pamyu Pamyu, like originality? From within those ideas, it was Takahashi Rumiko sensei who came up with it's easier to fight in, she said. Rather than having a complex reason, wouldn't a simple reason like this be easier for the people watching to understand? That's how Toa's appearance and character were solidified. Sato Tiruo says Sesshomaru created the weapon Bakusaiga from within himself. Whether Setsuna inherited that or not is something to look forward to going ahead. During the creation of the techniques for the three, it was Sumisawa-san coming up with the kanji characters and them coming up with how to portray them. They had the photographers match the shade and disposition of the effects to the parent generation and lineage. Toa and Setsuna have the same blue and green as Sesshomaru, and Moroha has the same yellow effect as Inuyasha's Windscar. Episode 15 left an impression on him. Rin has grown up a little bit, but for her acting, they ordered that they want you to be conscious of childhood Rin when addressing Lord Sesshomaru. Rin was revealed as Toa and Setsuna's mother. When depicting Sesshomaru and Rin, it was something that he wondered about the most as an Inuyasha fan when his work in Yashahime was decided. Since Rumiko-sensei did not depict this in Inuyasha, there were probably fans that had complicated feelings with how the relationship between the two is presented. In that sense, he said it's best to make it so that the two can properly live together in happiness. To say, it'd be hard to look at things stay as they are. Sato Terou wants everyone happy, but after the final act it ended up like this. Based on the actions of the other characters, he would like to shape Sesshomaru and Rin-chan's afterward in a way that everyone can agree to. Regarding Moroha, there's the matter of when she will meet Inuyasha and Kagome. He says it would make him happy if you could pay attention to that part going forward. As a fan, he would like to see official artwork of the parents and children sitting together. Inuyasha, Kagome, and Moroha would be there, and beside them would be Sesshomaru, Rin, Toa, and Setsuna, like they had a family gathering at New Year's. He thinks that kind of situation would be fun, however, in actuality, he thinks that might be difficult as the dog brothers don't get along. Highlights going forward, he says episode 19 is a breather episode with a different tempo from episode 18. Episode 20, Shiori-san, the half-demon who appeared in Inuyasha, will make an appearance. It is an episode where she and Setsuna will interact. Sumisawa-san thought that in order to depict half-demons, this was something that couldn't be left out, and Inuyasha walked down this path as well. Then, the final chapter begins in episode 21. Things will move all at once. Zero, who started appearing in episode 14, will especially be a key person going into the final episode. Please pay attention to her relationship between Kirin Maru and Sesshomaru. He says Takechiyo is fun to move. He is a big help and has room for growth. Takechiyo is born from having a character that could be messed with in some way or another like Shippo, but he feels completely different. Also, with the voice acting, he has grown into a very good character. Apparently, he's a favorite of Sumisawa-san. We learned from Ken Narita the impression he got was that it's as though Sesshomaru thinks Kirin Maru is not an opponent worthy of his time. He didn't even insert a breath and imagined that Sesshomaru could easily win this during the scene where they crossed blades. He also checked with the sound director like, "Would you like me to insert a breath?" But he said, "No need." On the other hand, Kirin Maru was taking breaths, so he really thinks Sesshomaru is on a different level. What will become of the relationship between Sesshomaru and Kirin Maru is something to look forward to going ahead. There is an interview with Yoshihiito Hishinuma. Yoshihito Hishinuma says they created Yashahime with the intention of simply gearing it towards the children of today, but there's a wide age range of contributors, from elementary schoolers to those in their 50s. He can really feel that the work is loved by everyone. It seems there are many people whose deep-rooted support for us stems back to the Inuyasha era. He says the easiest for him to draw is Moroha. There's a part of her that resembles her father Inuyasha, so at first he was conscious of copying him. However, over time he gained the ability to bring out her uniqueness. He says the most popular on-site is Moroha. There's a lot of staff who wants to draw Moroha. When plans were stood up, Toa and Setsuna were the two protagonists, but Rumiko Takahashi's design of Moroha was so appealing that the three of them became the main characters you see now. That's why he wants the staff to love Toa and Setsuna more. Especially for him, he wants to continue to sympathize with Toa and watch over her growth. With the emotions of a foster parent, of course, the parent that gave birth to them is Rumiko-sensei. Yoshihito Hishinuma's main job right now is designing and copyright illustrations, but the staff are working hard towards the climax that will be at the end of March. The story development is going to be hardcore, but that he would be really happy if you continue to support them and to look forward to it. Ayuria noted that this month's Animage held an art contest for Yashahime, with the judge being animation character designer Yoshihito Hishinuma.